I'm Paxton, and welcome to the channel.
Ryan Little.
Hi guys, so today we're going to dive into the Behind the Meaning series, starting with the collection Beautiful Chemical Mess. This collection aims to raise mental health awareness and also to interpret different disorders and every other aspect that comes with them without really filter any of this, but to expose the raw and the beautiful of being different. And to understand a little bit more about this, we're going to explain what a mental illness and what a mental disorder actually is. So let's go. Mental illness, also called mental health disorders, refers to a wide range of mental health conditions, disorders that affect your mood, thinking, and behavior. Examples of mental illness include depression, anxiety disorders, and eating disorders, as well as addictive behaviors. Many people have mental health concerns from time to time, but a mental health concern becomes a mental illness when ongoing signs and symptoms cause frequent stress and affect your ability to function. A mental illness can make you miserable and can cause you problems in your daily life. In most cases, symptoms can be managed with a combination of medication and talk therapy. Signs and symptoms of mental illness can vary depending on the disorder, circumstances, and other factors. Mental illness symptoms can affect emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. Sometimes symptoms of a mental health disorder appear as physical problems such as stomach pain, back pain, headaches, or other unexplained aches and pains. Causes. Mental illnesses in general are thought to be caused by a variety of genetic and environmental factors. Inherited traits. Mental illness is more common in people whose blood relatives also have a mental illness. Certain genes may increase your risk of developing a mental illness, and your life situation may trigger it. Environmental exposures before birth. Exposure to environmental stressors, inflammatory conditions, toxins, alcohol, or drugs while in the womb can sometimes be linked to mental illness. Brain chemistry. Neurotransmitters are naturally occurring brain chemicals that carry signals to other parts of your brain and body. When the neural networks involved in these chemicals are impaired, the function of nerve receptors and nerve systems change, leading to depression and other emotional disorders. Risk factors. Certain factors may increase your risk of developing a mental illness, including a history of mental illness in a blood relative, such as a parent or a sibling, stressful life situations such as financial problems, a loved one's death, or a divorce, an ongoing chronic medical condition such as diabetes, brain damage as a result of a serious injury, traumatic experiences such as military combat, use of alcohol or recreational drugs, a childhood history of abuse or neglect, few friends or few family relationships, a previous mental illness. Mental illness is common. About 1 in 5 adults has a mental illness in any given year, and mental illnesses can begin at any age, from childhood through later adult years, but most cases begin earlier in life. Okay, so this takes me to explain why I started to do this and why it is so important to me to talk about this through my art, and why I decided to use my art to do this and try to help people through this. So the story is very long. I'm going to try to make it very short, and well, I hope you like it. So this takes me back to my school years, where around 15, 16 years old, I started to experience panic attacks. And it was very scary. I didn't know what was happening to me. It was all new to me, but up to a point I just thought it was normal. I thought it was part of the whole school stress that you go through, but unfortunately these became stronger and stronger and harder to handle through the years. So when I was taking the IB, I took my psychology class and an art class, and that actually helped me a lot, not only to understand what was happening to me, but also not being afraid to talk about it. I remember I was just trying to figure out what was happening to me. And I just know that my teacher knew it already. Like, she knew the first days that she saw me struggle. And I remember she would make certain comments as we were studying in class, you know, of funny comments, and it was just like this whole thing, and it was funny to me. But then it got to a point that I felt lost, and I am very grateful that she made the whole environment feel so welcoming, and she was very welcoming as well. That I was able to talk to her and tell her, okay, I think I might have this. I remember that as we were studying, a lot of symptoms and signs that we would read, I would just feel like the book was talking about me. Like, I would just take every symptom off and I would say, this is what I have, like this is what I'm experiencing, and I don't know what to do with this. And she was very kind to help me. She could notice certain things that up to a point I was developing this obsessive behavior. You know, I had to have a certain layout on my desk with my pencils and everything. They have to be put in a certain way. Also, when I was eating, it had to be in a certain way. When I was changing classes, going from one class to another, I couldn't step on the lines on the hallway. Like, each time it was getting worse, all these little things were developing, and I didn't know what to do. So I remember she was giving me some advice here and there that were very helpful to overcome those things. So I've always liked to be the one who helps people. I don't like people to see me when I'm feeling sad or I'm feeling bad or angry. I don't like to be helped. I rather help someone else. And I think because I got so well at hiding my feelings that whenever I had a huge panic attack or people saw me struggling, was either very shocking or probably non-believable, or at least that's what I thought. This idea came into my head, and it was stuck with me. I was so worried about the fact that people might not believe that I'm going through something, but I just knew that this was not normal. But it got to a point that I was so stressed about being seen this way, like people seeing me this way, not being able to handle anything that was happening to me. I was so stressed out and worried about that I started to study anxiety as much as I could. I thought, the more I know, the more I'm going to know when it's about to happen, my symptoms and everything, and that will give me time to run away. That was basically my idea of studying it. It was like, if I know what's happening to me, then it will give me enough time to get out of there and, you know, handle it myself. But the thing is that I didn't consider that this might happen during class, and it did happen a lot during class. It got to a point that I was so able to tell that something was about to happen. I knew when I had like a lack of breath and I was starting to tremble, my hands were getting shaky, and all these little symptoms, and I just knew, okay, I'm getting anxious, okay, relax. So I just started to make these breathing exercises to calm myself, which it helped most of the times, but sometimes it didn't. I never thought it would take so much energy, so much physical energy, trying to, you know, encapsulate all these feelings so people wouldn't notice. I remember I would just sit down and just like close my eyes, try to repress it, and it got so hard. It got so difficult and so tiring. It was so tiring, and it took every last drop of energy out of me, and I would just pass out. And I remember I had to be taken by my art teacher to the doctor's office a couple times because I was doing that during class instead of just excusing myself or asking for help. And that led to calling my parents to pick me up and telling our head of year that something was going on with me. So I ended up thinking it made a bigger impact, the fact that I was trying to hide this, that it made a bigger scene that I wanted. More people found out. I think it would have been just better to ask for help or excuse myself than just trying to hide all these things that I'm not able to control. And I remember I was thinking, I'm taking so many people's time off their schedule to check on me, which I hated, and that stressed me even more. So I'm also very grateful that these people were there for me. But I think what made me realize it had gone too far was the fact that I was waking up at a doctor's office just hearing someone asking me to say my name. Like, I always thought, was that necessary? What just happened? Was my anxiety so bad that he has to ask me if I know my own name? And that got really scary. I thought, okay, there's something wrong with me. I accept it. I have to deal with this. This cannot be happening as much as it's been happening, and I need to do something about it. Which I am grateful that I was always very aware of everything going on with me. But this is when it all started. One thing that I remember so much about my psychology classes, it was that it was very important to spot these different symptoms and signs that, I was getting here and there. And also I remember thinking and reading that mental disorders do not happen the same way for everyone. There's so many things and factors that these symptoms depend on, because it all depends on our biology. And that was far from what I could comprehend. I always knew that I wasn't great with words, so I thought, okay, maybe describing what I'm feeling is not being very helpful. Maybe this is why I think people cannot really understand what I'm going through. So that's when I decided to paint and represent graphically all these feelings. And I thought, I think this is the way people are going to understand what I'm feeling. This is the way people are going to see clearly what's going on with me. And that's when Through the Eyes of Anxiety was born. So I specifically made that painting for whoever wanted to understand what was happening and what anxiety felt like. Also, I remember reading it was becoming more common through the years, and because of that, more people would be more open to know about it, get to know what's happening and what this is. So that is the story. That is how I decided to start painting about different mental disorders and illnesses. Later in 2017, I found out that those episodes of anxiety were actually just the start of a whole new other diagnosis that I have now. I just want to say I won't be diving into my own diagnosis, at least yet. Maybe when time is right, I'm going to share it with you, since it's part of this whole collection. But I don't want it to be the point of interest of this blog. I don't want it to be labeled, and I don't want people to think I am using my own diagnosis for attention, which I am not. I am thankful for my diagnosis, because it is because of that I've had this experience, and I am able to talk to you like this, and hopefully able to help someone that's going through this, or at least has been through this. But please understand why I'm doing things the way I'm doing them. Now, I want to talk about why it's so important to me to talk about this, and why now. Why now is because by now I've had this whole journey that I've gone through, that it's not even close to be over. I'm still learning how to love myself, I'm learning about myself, and learning how to accept myself, which is very, very important. But I think it's also very important that you share your story once you are okay with it. Once you've accepted it, once you are okay with it, once you've learned from it, because that is the only way that you can actually help people who are going through it. I wanted to do this vlog years ago, but now that I look back, I think it wouldn't have been right, since I was still trying to figure everything out, and I still am, but it was harder when everything was so fresh. It's so important to me to talk about this because it's happening more than you think. A lot of people have it, and I know by experience how hard it is to accept it, accept yourself, and even love yourself, let alone asking for help. You know, let alone telling someone else and hoping you're not judged or labeled, and actually just finding some empathy in other people. And also the fact that you feel alone, because no one's talking about this. It is very hard to find someone who tells you, I know, I've been through this, I have the same thing, it's going to be okay. And I want to be that person, because I couldn't find that person when I was going through all this. And I know that media doesn't help very much. There's a lot of stigma, a lot of stereotypes, there's movies, and sometimes the way they portray these different illnesses make you feel even worse. And I just think it's time to get real, you know, and be able to talk about this, be able to show people that it is okay to ask for help, it is okay not to be okay, it's not your fault, and that there's someone else out there that's been through this and that can say it's okay. Also, for those who are wondering, the painting that I talked about in my story, Through the Eyes of Anxiety, is actually like the 7th painting in the collection. So please, if you want to know more about it, please be patient and stay tuned for more videos. I promise that I'm gonna upload that soon. And yeah, that is the story behind the collection. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's interesting enough for you. Next video is going to be about the first painting in this collection. And then the next video is actually about me trying to save this painting, and you will see why in the next video. So as you know, I'm gonna leave my portfolio and any other relevant links down in the description below. If you want to talk about any of this, or have any questions, or have any comments, or any ideas for any more videos, then you can contact me, you can DM me, or write a comment down below. So thank you for everything again, and see you next time.